Dear students, let us start with the new topic gear trains, which is related to module 5. So generally the gear, it is defined as it is a toothed wheel which is used to transmit the power from one shaft to the other shaft. So the gear train, it is a combination of number of gears. So the combination of number of gears which is used to transmit the power from one shaft to the other shaft, that we call it as the gear train. So it is related to the module 5. Introduction to gear trains. So a gear train is a combination of gears which is used to transmit motion from one shaft to another shaft. Or we can also define it as it is a combination of gear wheels which is generally used to increase or decrease the speed of driven shaft. So which is known as gear train. For example, you can take it as a lathe machine, which we use in the machine shop. So where the different materials are cut economically at different cutting speeds. So these speeds can be obtained by using a suitable gear train. So by using a gear train, so we can obtain the different cutting speeds for different materials. So this is possible only because of the gear train. So gear trains are widely used in mechanical clocks, automotive vehicles, turbine generators, machine tools, and so forth. So wherever you have to increase the speed or whether you have to decrease the speed, so we have to use the gear trains. The one more important term it is velocity ratio and train value. So velocity ratio it is defined as the ratio of speed of driving gear to that of driven gear. So when you take a gear train, so it consisting of the driver and it consisting of driven member. So the gear which drives the other, that we call it as a driver. The gear which is driven by the driver, that we call it as the driven member. So generally we have the driver and driven member. So the velocity ratio, it is defined as it is the ratio of speed of the driver to the speed of the driven member. So it's the speed of the driver to the speed of driven member, which is equals to the product of number of teeth on driven gear to the product of number of teeth on driving gear. For example, assume that, so this is the gear 1. So let the gear 1 it will rotate at a speed of n1 and it consisting of the number of teeth on the gear 1. I will call it as a capital T1. Similarly, the speed of the gear 2 it is represented by capital N2 and similarly the number of teeth on the driven gear it is represented by capital T2. So velocity ratio it is defined as the speed of the driver to the speed of driven. So the speed of the driver is capital N1, the speed of the driven member is capital N2. So velocity ratio it is defined as ratio of N1 by N2, which is equals to product of number of teeth on driven gear. So number of teeth on the driven gear is T2 divided by number of teeth on the driving gear. So T2 by T1. So velocity ratio for this combination of gears, which is defined as N1 by N2, which is equals to T2 by T1. Similarly, the train value is the reciprocal of velocity ratio. You just reciprocate, so we'll get the train value. So it is a reciprocal of velocity ratio. It is written as train value, which is equals to 1 by velocity ratio. So this formula it is very important to solve the problems. Coming to the types of gear trains. So the gear trains, depending upon the functional requirement of an application, so it is classified into four categories. So the first one it is simple gear train. The second one, compound gear train. Third one, reverted gear train. And fourth one, epicyclic or planetary gear train. Now we'll see one by one. So let us take the first one, simple gear train. So simple gear train. A simple gear train is one in which there is only one gear on each shaft. So a simple gear train. So a gear train we call it as a simple gear train. Here only one gear which is mounted on shaft. See when you see the example of this, this is the shaft. On the shaft, a single gear is mounted. So this is one more shaft, only a single gear is mounted. So this we call it as a simple gear train. A simple gear train is the one in which each shaft it carries only a single gear. So such type of gear train we call it as a simple gear train. A simple gear train is often used to change the direction of rotation of gear without changing its angular velocity. So it is generally used to change the direction of rotation of the driven gear. So for example, so consider a simple gear train as shown in figure. We have two combinations. So this is one combination. We have two gears which is measured directly. So here we have three gears. So this is the driving gear and this is driven gear. So in between these two, we have one more gear. So that gear we call it as the idler gear, or we call it as a intermediate gears. So the intermediate gears are those which does not affect the velocity ratio. These gears we call it as idler gears. So this is even number of gears. So 1, 2, it is odd number of gears. So we have the two types of combinations. One is you can have even number of pairs, odd number of pairs. When you have even number of pairs, so here two gears are there, no intermediate gear will be there. So when you have three combination of gears, so we have one intermediate gears. Now let us assume that let n1 is the speed of the driver, n2 is the speed of the gear, that is intermediate gear or idler gear, and n3 is the speed of the driven gear. Similarly, the T1, T2, T3 are the number of T's on the driver, on intermediate gear and on driven gear. So I have taken the example of this. So let n1 is the speed of the driving gear, n3 is the speed of the driven gear, and n2 is the speed of the idler gear. Similarly, capital T1, capital T2, and capital T3 are the number of T's on the each gear. Now, since the driving gear 1 is in mesh with the intermediate gear 2. So when you see the diagram, so this gear, it meshes with the gear 2. So the velocity ratio between these two, we can write it as it is the ratio of speed of the driving gear to the speed of driven gear. So we can write it as the ratio of n1 by n2. So therefore, the speed ratio for these two gears we can write as n1 by n2, which is equals to number of T's on the driven gear to the number of T's on the driving gear. So that is T2 by T1. So we'll get one formula. You call it as equation number 1. Similarly, as the intermediate gear 2 is in mesh with the driven gear 3. So the intermediate gear 2, it meshes with the driven gear 3. Now you take a combination of these two. Now the intermediate gear, it becomes the driver. This it becomes the driven gear. So velocity ratio between these two pairs, we can write it as the ratio of n2 by n3, which is equals to number of T's on the driven to number of T's on the driven, that is T3 by T2. So therefore, velocity ratio or the speed ratio of these two gears, which is given as n2 by n3, n2 by n3, which is equals to T3 by T2, called as equation number 2. Now, the velocity ratio of the gear train. So the complete gear train. So in order to obtain the velocity ratio for this complete gear train, you multiply equation 1 and equation 2. When you multiply the equation 1 and equation 2, so n1 by n2 into n2 by n3, which is equals to t2 by t1 into t3 by t2. So you can cancel n2 and n2, and the t2 and t2 you can cancel out. So therefore, so we'll get n1 by n3, which is equals to t3 by t1. So this is what the velocity ratio for a simple gear train with odd number of gears. When you see the velocity ratio for this combination of gears, so you can observe over here. So the speed velocity ratio, it always depends upon the speed of the driver and the speed of the driven member, that is driver and driven member, which is equals to the number of T's on the driven to number of T's on the driving gear. So that means the role of this gear, that is a idler gear, it doesn't have any effect on the velocity ratio. So therefore, velocity ratio of a simple gear train is the ratio of angular speed or velocity of the first gear, that is n1, in the train to the angular velocity of the last gear, that is third one. So we find that the intermediate gear, it doesn't have any effect on velocity ratio. So those gears we call it as the idler gears. So the idler gears, it is generally used to transmit the motion from the driver to the driven member. It doesn't have any effect on velocity ratio. So this is what the first type of gear train. So it is a simple gear train. Now we'll go for the second type of gear train, that is compound gear train. In order to obtain the train ratio of greater than 10 is to 1 with per gear, helical or bevel gears or any combination, so it is necessary to compound the train. So what do you mean by compound gear train? A compound gear train is one in which each shaft carries two or more gears. So this is very important. So so a simple gear train, here the each shaft it carries only single gear, whereas the compound gear train is the one where each shaft it will carries two or more gears. So such type of gear train we call it as a compound gear train. So figure shows a compound gear train. So you can observe over here. So it is a compound gear train which consisting of four gears. So this is gear 1, gear 2, this is gear 3, and this is gear 4. So among these, you can observe the gears 2 and 3 are compounded on the intermediate shaft. So you can see over here the gear 2 and gear 3, both they are mounted on the same shaft. So this we call it as a compound gear train. So a compound gear train is one in which each shaft it carries two or more gears. So when you see over here, so it is a shaft, it carries only a single gear. This is the shaft, it carries a single gear. So again you can see over here, this is the shaft where it carries the two gears, 2 and 3. So the gears 2 and 3, we can call it as a compound gear train. Now in this combination, let us find the velocity ratio. So in order to find the velocity ratio, let us assume that the speeds of the gear 1, 2, 3 and 4 be n1, n2, n3 and n4. Similarly, the number of T's on gear 1 is T1, the number of T's on gear 2 is T2, number of T's on gear 3 is T3, and number of T's on gear 4 is T4. Now when you see this, so we'll take individually. So this is the driver and this is the driven member. So the motion is transmitting from the gear 1 to the gear 4. Now the gear 1 it measures with the gear 2. So you take the combination of gear 1 and gear 2. So when you take combination of 1 and 2, so we can write the velocity ratio as the ratio of n1 by n2, which is equals to t2 by t1. So for a gear pair of 1 2, We can write velocity ratios. So the ratio of speed of the driving gear to the speed of driven gear, N1 by N2, which is equals to, so number of T's on the driven to the number of T's on driving. So this will be the driven gear, the second gear. One is the driving gear. So T2 by T1, called as equation number 1. So motion is transmitting from 1 to 2. Since 2 and 3 it is mounted on the same shaft, so the 3 it will transmit the motion to the gear 4. So by having a contact over here. Now you take the combination of the gears 3 and 4. When you take the combination of 3 and 4, so the 3 it will transmit a motion to the 4. So 3 is the driver and 4 is the driven member with 3 and 4 combination. So velocity ratio between these two combinations, we can write it as N3 by N4, which is equals to T4 by T3. So for a gear pair of 3 and 4, velocity ratio, it is written as N3 by N4, which is equals to T4 by T3. Call it as equation number 2. Now, in order to obtain velocity ratio for this complete combination, you multiply the equation 1 and 2. Multiply equation 1 and 2, we get N1 by N2 into N3 by N4, which is equals to T2 by T1 into T4 by T3. Since the gear 2 and gear 3, they are mounted on the same shaft, so the speed of the gear 2 and the speed of gear 3, both it remains same. Since, so N2, it must be equals to N3 because both the gears, they are mounted on same shaft. So because of the 2 and 3 are compound gears, they are mounted on same shaft, so speeds will be equal. So therefore, you cancel these two, N2 and N3, will get N1 by N4, which is equals to T2 by T1 into T4 by T3. So this is what the velocity ratio for compound gear train. So in compound gear train, so we will consider all the combination of the gears. So that is T2 by T1 into T4 by T3. Now you take a reciprocal of this, that gives the value of the train value. So train value, which is equals to 1 by velocity ratio, which is equals to N4 by N1, which is equals to T1 by T2 into T3 by T. This is what the compound gear train. The one more is the reverted gear train. So a reverted gear train is one in which the first and last gears are on the same axis. So you can take an example of this. So we have the combination of the gears. So this is the gear 1, which is mounted on the driving shaft, which is connected to one more gear. This is the second gear. Again, this is the third gear. The second and third gear, they are mounted on the same shaft. So 2 and 3, it becomes a compound gear train. Again, 3, it is connected to the 4. So the 4, it is mounted on the driven shaft. So when you see the combination of this diagram, so the driving shaft axis and the driven shaft axis, both they are lying on the same axis. So this type of combination of gears, we call it as reverted gear train. So a reverted gear train is one in which the first gear, this is the first gear, that is driving gear, and the last gear means the driven gear. So this is the driven gear, both they are on the same axis, so the axis is collinear. So such type of gears, we call it as so the reverted gear train. So figure shows the reverted gear train in which the driving shaft gear 1, it drives the gear 2, which is mounted on the intermediate shaft. The gears 2 and 3, we call it as a compound gear because on the same shaft, so two gears are mounted. So 2 and 3 becomes the compound gears. So gear 3 is the gear 3 drives the gear 4, so which is mounted on the driven shaft with the axis of the driving shaft. So that is the combination, that is the configuration of the diagram. So when you see this configuration diagram, so the distance between the centers of the shaft, that it is represented by C. This we call it as center distance. So in reverted gate train, the center distances of two pairs of gates must be same. So between these two pairs and between these two pairs, the center distance it remains same. So therefore, center distance C, which is equals to, so the radius of the gear 1, so from here to here it is R1, again from here to here it is R2. So R1 plus R2, that gives center distance for the first combination. Similarly, R3, distance from here to here it is R3, the distance from here to here is R4. So R3 plus R4, that gives the center distance for the second pair. So in reverted gate train, center distance C, which is given as R1 plus R2, which is equals to R3 plus R4. We know that module is defined as, generally module which is defined as, it is the ratio of pitch circle diameter. So the pitch circle diameter of the gear to the number of teeth on that particular gear. Since the number of teeth, so when you send the T towards this side, T it is directly proportional to D. So module it will be always constant. So if module is constant, so the teeth it is always proportional to the pitch circle radius. So D I can write as 2 times of R. So number of teeth T, it is directly proportional to R. So number of teeth is proportional to pitch circle radius. So I can write directly, I will replace R as T1, R2 as T2, R3 as T3, and R4 as T4. So that is T1 plus T2, which is equals to T3 plus T4. Now we have to write down the velocity ratio or train value. So if you write velocity ratio, so generally this is the driving gear. So this drives this. Again 2 and 3 it is mounted on same shaft. 3 drives 4. So velocity ratio we can write it as N1 by N2 into N3 by N4. So N2 and N3. So the speed it remains same. So velocity ratio it becomes N1 by N4. So train value is N4 by N1, which is equals to, so number of T's on the driven gear to the driving gear. So that is T4 by T3 into T2 by T1. So it is reversed. So when you take a reciprocal, you get T1 by T2 into T3 by T4. This is the train value for reverted gear train. So that is what reverted gear train. So the next one is epicyclic or planetary gear train. So this is very important for our syllabus. The conventional gear trains described so far, up to now what I told, so all are 1 degree of freedom devices. That is simple gear train, compound gear train, reverted gear train. So all those gear trains, so all these devices are only 1 degree of freedom devices. Another class of gear train, that is epicyclic or planetary gear train, is a 2-degree freedom device. So here we'll see the 2 degree of freedom, in which 2 inputs are needed to obtain a predictable output. So epicyclic gear train is a 2 degree of freedom device. So which generally need 2 inputs in order to obtain a predictable output. Now let us define what do you mean by epicyclic gear train. Epicyclic gear train is one in which axis of the shaft over which the gears are mounted is moving relative to a fixed axis. The gear train is known as epicyclic gear train or planetary gear train. So Epicyclic gear train is one in which axis of the shaft over which the gears are mounted, it will move relative to the fixed axis. Such gear train we call as epicyclic gear train. Now let us consider the schematic diagram of epicyclic gear train as shown in figure. So it consisting of sun gear C, which is fixed. So this is the sun gear C, which is fixed to the frame, and one more gear, that is planet gear B. This is the planet gear B. So carried by a revolving arm. So this is the arm. So revolving arm A. So the planet gear B, it rotates not only about their own center, but also it will rotate about the fixed gear. So that is what the speciality of the epicyclic gear run. So it consisting of sun gear, it consisting of planet gear. The sun gear is fixed. This planet gear, it carries the arm. So the planet gear, it will rotate about its own axis. When it rotates about its own axis, along with this, the planet gear B, it will revolve about the sun gear C with respect to the arm. So this is what, so the working of epicyclic gear train. This we call it as sun and planet gear because so it is similar to our solar system where the planet, so the planets, it will revolve about its own axis. Along with that, the planet, it will rotate or it will revolve with respect to the sun. So the same principle here also it is used. That's why we call it as sun and planet gear train or epicyclic gear. So there are numerous methods available for solving planetary gear train, but only the formula or algebraic method and superposition or tabulation method will be discussed. See, up to now, to find the velocity ratio or train value, it is very simple. A simple formula which is used because there we see only 1 degree of freedom. But in epicyclic gear train, those simple concepts, it cannot be used to evaluate the problem. So it is somewhat complex structure because it is a 2 degree of freedom device. So we have so many methods, but in the syllabus, we use only the algebraic method or the tabular method is adapted. Now let us see how we will find the velocity ratio of the epicyclic gear train. So velocity ratio for epicyclic gear train. So it is calculated by various methods. We have only two methods. What we adopted over here. One is algebraic method. We call it as relative velocity method. The one more is tabular method. Now, first method, let us take algebraic method. So this is the epicyclic gear train. So which consisting of gear A and one more gear is B. The gear A, it will rotates about the center O1. The gear B, it will rotates about the center O2. And both the gears, it is connected by an arm. So arm C. Now, in order to become this as epicyclic gear train, we have to fix any one of the gear. So now let us assume that the gear A is fixed. The gear B will rotate about the center O2 and it will revolve about the center O1. Then only it becomes an epicyclic gear train. Also, let us assume that so the speed of the gear A, I'll take it as a N1, and similarly the speed for gear B, I'll take it as NB, and along with that the arm also it will rotate. So that speed I'll take it as a N arm. So N arm which is equals to speed of the arm. And similarly the number of T's on gear A is I'll take it as capital TA, and similarly number of T's on gear B, I'll take it as TB. Now I will find out the speed of gear A. So the speed of gear A relative to this arm. So that is what we call as relative velocity method. So the speed of gear A relative to RMC, which is given as NA with respect to RM, which is equals to NA minus NRM. Similarly, the speed of gear B relative to the RMC, which is defined as NB slash RM, which is equals to NB minus NRM. So this is very, very important. So the speed of gear A relative to the RMC, which is defined as NA minus NRM. Similarly, the speed of gear B relative to the RMC, which is defined as NB minus NRM. Now the gears A and B are in mesh directly. So A and B, they are in mesh directly, and hence they will rotate in opposite direction. So both, so when it rotates in clockwise direction, so this it will rotate in counterclockwise direction. So when they mesh directly, both they will rotate in opposite direction. So thus, so the ratios, so the speed of this, so NB slash Rm by Na slash Rm, which is equals to, that is velocity ratio, right? So the speed of gear B to the speed of gear A, which is equals to number of T's on gear A by number of T's on gear B. So here negative sign, it represents so the opposite direction. When the gears it will rotate in opposite direction, we use negative sign. When they rotate in same direction, we use positive sign. So NB slash Rm, it is defined as NB minus NRM divided by NA bar Rm, which is defined as Na minus NRM, which is equals to minus dA by T. So this is the formula which is used to calculate the velocity ratio for epicyclic gear drum. So the negative sign signifies the rotation of A and B are in opposite direction, or the negative sign for the teeth in mesh externally. Here the teeth are meshing externally, and positive for when the teeth mesh internally. So this we will see in the problems, right? While solving the problems, so I will tell how the teeth are meshing internally and how the teeth are meshing externally. So I will take up 1-2 examples and I will explain them. So this is the algebraic method of finding the velocity ratio for epicyclic gear drum. So you should remember this formula. Now go to second method, that is tabular method. This method is based on superposition principle, which states that the resultant revolution of any gear may be found by taking number of turns it makes with plus the number of turns it makes relative to the. So the following steps are followed in this method. So we have one basic 4 steps. So the first step, we have to assume the Rm to be fixed, and we have to determine the number of revolutions of gear B when gear A makes one revolution. So that is the first step. So we have to assume Rm is fixed, and we have to determine the revolutions of gear B when gear A makes one revolution. So go to the second step. If gear A makes X revolutions, then gear B will make X times of TA by TB revolutions. So instead of giving one revolution, replace it as for X revolutions. When it makes X revolutions, then the gear B will make so X times of TA by TB revolutions. So the third step, to account for rotation of the arm. So in order to consider the arm rotation, so you have to add plus y revolutions to all the members in third row. So the last step, the motion of each element of gear train is added up and entered in fourth row. So this is what the 4 steps which should be followed in tabular method. So all these 4 steps which is listed in table. So this table is very, very important. So since all the problems are solved by tabular method, because it is very easy to solve by tabular method rather than analytical method. The first thing, you have to write down this table, serial number, condition of motion or operation of steps of motion. Again, motions of motions or revolution of elements of gear train. So when you see your gear train, so this is the gear train. So we have two gears, gear A and gear B and one arm. So how many gears are there? So all the gears you have to represent over here. First you have to represent the arm. So we have arm C and the gears. How many gears are there here? We have only two gears. So gear A and gear B. So represent gear A and gear B. So this thing you have to represent based on the configuration diagram. So go to the first step. So assume Rm is fixed. Determine the revolutions of gear B when gear A makes one revolution. So that is what Rm is locked or fixed, comma, rotate wheel A through plus one revolution. So that is the initial condition you have to define. So Rm is fixed, rotate wheel A through plus one revolution. When Rm is fixed, how many revolutions it will make? It will make zero revolutions. So you have to enter 0. What about gear A? So the rotate wheel A through plus one revolutions. So how many revolutions will the gear A it will make? It will make only plus one revolution. Now we have to find out, that is what the assumption, the first assumption. This is what the first assumption, right? So Rm is fixed, rotate wheel A through plus one revolution. So here it becomes 0, here it becomes plus 1. Now you have to find out this. How many revolutions the gear B will make. So you come to the diagram. Now what I am giving? I am giving plus 1 revolution to the gear A. When you give plus 1 revolution to gear A, you have to find out how many revolutions of the gear B will make. Now you go for the velocity ratio. How the velocity ratio is defined? It is defined as the ratio of the speed of driving gear to the speed of driven gear. That is NA by NB, which is equals to TB by TA. So what is the value of NA? NA is 1. So 1 by NB, which is equals to, what you will get? 1 by NB, which is equals to TB by TA. What you have to find out? You have to find out number of revolutions of the gear B. So you send NB towards this side and you send TB by TA towards this side. What it becomes? So you'll get TA by TB. TA by TB. So use that formula, right? We'll get this. So TA by TB. And negative sign. So when you give plus one revolution to this gear in clockwise direction, so this gear it will rotate in counterclockwise direction. So the motion of this and motion of this are in opposite direction. So that's why we use negative sign. So this is the first step you have to write them. Go to the second step. Rm is fixed. Rotate wheel A through plus x revolution. So instead of rotating plus one revolution, you have to rotate through plus x revolution. So Rm is fixed. So this it will be 0 only. So the gear A, instead of one revolution, we will rotate it for x revolutions. So therefore, the number of revolutions of gear B becomes, so same thing multiplied by x. So minus TA by TB into x. So this is second step. Go to the third step. So in order to account the rotation of the Rm, so you have to add plus y revolutions to all the elements. So add plus y, plus y, plus y. Now the last step is you have to find out the resultant motion. So in order to find out resultant motion, you have to add the second row and the third row. So add these two, 0 plus y, it becomes y. So add these two, it becomes x plus y. Add these two, it becomes y minus TA by TB into x. So this is what the procedure which is followed in the tabular method. So with this, you can find out the speeds of any gear. So the speed of gear A, it will be x plus y. The speed of the Rm, it is y. The speed of gear B, it is y minus TA by TB into x. So this is the the tabular method of finding the values of the values of the speeds of the gears. For further and more information, you can refer the book which is authored by me. Thank you.